Hello, my name is Jillian DeLuca, Technical Assistant Specialist with Grow New Jersey Kids Technical Assistance Center North, and I will be presenting this webinar today entitled Welcoming Families In After 3 Years of Keeping Them Out, the Importance of Family Engagement Post-Pandemic. I would love to start off by sharing a little bit about myself. I've been in the early education field for over 13 years. I earned my bachelor's degree in psychology and my master's degree in education with an additional certification in early childhood. Before I began my position as technical assistant specialist, I was the previous director of a Grow New Jersey Kids enrolled program and held many positions in the early education field. Personally, I am a wife and a mother to two young boys. And this topic I will be presenting today really connects with me on a professional and personal level. Creating relationships with families is at the heart of what we do. Having them involved in our programs is central to their child's learning and will help build a foundation for a future love of learning. According to an article in the Early Childhood Education Journal, the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in monumental changes to education throughout the world. According to UNESCO, nearly 90% of the world's student population, over 1.5 billion learners in 165 countries, have had their learning experiences disrupted by precautions and policies implemented to quell the spread of this disease. The coronavirus pandemic has been and continues to be a huge issue that many early childcare programs have had to face over the last few years. Precautions implemented during the pandemic were put in place to keep us safe as we continue to learn more about our ever changing world. However, these precautions still have lasting impacts on how early childhood programs operate on a daily basis. With a no visitors policy put into place, this created a new climate for our programs, where parents were dropping off children for the first time at centers they had never even stepped foot in. Forced to create relationships through plexiglass, face masks, and daily health checks. After all of this change, how do we fix it? How do we rebuild those relationships? I am here to share with you today some strategies for bringing families back into programs and creating valuable relationships that make each program so unique. By the end of this webinar, participants will be able to list the benefits of having strong family connections in early childhood programs, identify strategies to communicate effectively with parents and families, use the strategies provided to meet Grow New Jersey Kids standards for quality improvement in Category 3, family and community engagement. Parents are their child's first teacher, and children learn in the context of relationships. Studies have shown that family engagement in schools contributes to positive student achievement outcomes, decreased disciplinary issues, improved parent teacher and teacher student relationships, improved school environment, and improved daily attendance. When we think about hiring new staff, we discuss what our onboarding procedures look like. How will you market the position? What does your hiring process look like? Once hired, what are the staff members' next steps to get them acclimated into your business? When thinking about family engagement, the same thought needs to be given for onboarding new families. The process of finding the best program for your child is no easy task. Creating a well outlined system for onboarding new families can help families adjust to the transition of starting their child in a program for the first time. And it starts with a tour. How can you give families a feeling of comfort, safety, and community? Inviting them for a tour of the program so they can see the school, care space, meet the staff, and see how their child responds to the program is an important first step. Families want to know what the program is safe, clean, and has experienced and loving staff. So you have the family in for a tour. You connect, they sign up. What are the next steps? Providing families with a handbook that contains clear policies and procedures is critical. It holds both you and the family accountable. What are your center's expectations? And do they align with the family's vision of care they have for their child? It is important that policies are clear and parents understand what they are signing. If they need assistance creating your family handbook, please reach out to your technical assistance specialist who can help. As the school year moves on, we have learned that things can change very quickly. It is important to have a policy in place for when school procedures need to be updated or changed. Families should always be informed in writing of any changes and asked to sign that they understand the changes moving forward. At the end of this presentation, I have provided sample policies that you can use and take with you today. Let's admit it, change is hard. So, having a clear path of how we can navigate this change together can ease the anxiety. Creating a transition policy can help bridge a gap between home and school. Here are some examples of what can be included in a transition policy. How will you assist a new child in the program? Can you provide them with visual supports? A calendar of the days that children are at home and at school so they know what to anticipate. Creating a picture schedule for them of what their day will look like, what events and activities happen throughout the day. Picture supports of who their teacher is or the children in their class so they know what to expect. Creating a system of class helpers in your classroom, providing them with a job to get them acclimated to the supports and the systems that you have in your classroom. Creating a buddy system where a child who's already enrolled in the classroom can introduce that new child to your classroom, helping them create relationships. How will you assist the new family during this transition? The child isn't the only one with all the changes and isn't the only one transitioning into your program. This can be a very hard adjustment for families. Creating opportunities for families is important. Creating a family ambassador program where you select previously enrolled families to introduce and welcome new families coming in, share their experiences. Creating a peer group with either newly enrolled families or families who have been with you so they can really share experiences and support each other, creating that community and sharing resources with the families. What kind of resources can you provide them about separation anxiety or books about strong feelings? It's really important to set parents up so they understand what this transition can look like for them. Do you conduct mid-year transitions between classrooms? What does this look like for the child? And do you keep transition folders on each child? What would you want their next teacher to know? What kind of information can you share with them to make that next transition even smoother? Do you have a communication policy? Having communication policy in place is a supportive strategy because it helps parents easily find out how they can learn about the activities going on in the program, how they can contact the teacher, and how they can be a part of their child's day. Here are a few things to think about when creating a communication policy. What is the best way to contact a family? Every family has a contact love language. Is it email? Is it by paper? Is it messaging? Is it by phone? Parents are busy. What is the best way to connect with them throughout their day? Looking into a parent app like Tadpoles or Bright Wheels, Class Jojo, or ProCare. Anything that is going to make your time easier. You can have up to 15 children in your classroom. you don't have time to send 15 emails a day. So, what are some great ways that you can connect easily and quickly? Picture share sites is another great one. This is a wonderful way to share what the children are doing throughout the day. Shutterfly has a share site, and Bubble Up, you can share pictures and resources. So, how can you connect with parents this way? As the director, you wear many hats, but it's also very important for staff to welcome in new families and new children. Creating staff welcome packets is really helpful to create those connections to the classroom, the teacher, for the child, including a staff bio, a little background about who they are and what their credentials are, including pictures if they haven't met yet, doing classroom schedule, providing them with a classroom schedule or important information about what goes on in the classroom, what their systems look like, so parents feel involved and included and know what their day is going to look like and who they are going to be with. Okay, your policies are in place. The deposit is paid. Now what? Now it's time to educate yourself and your staff on the family that just enrolled. Every child and family is unique and special. It is important to ask questions in order to learn more. Providing families with a family questionnaire during enrollment is a helpful strategy. When creating your family questionnaire, keep the following big questions in mind. What languages are spoken in the home? It's very important to know what a family's communication style is, but most importantly, how to communicate with them throughout the day. Do they need things translated? What kind of supports can you implement into the program for that child if they do not speak the primary language? Ask about customs, traditions, their demographics. Every family is so unique and they're made up from different things. So, how can we incorporate this into our program? Knowing what customs, traditions, and what their demographics are can really help you to create special activities and events that really connect with the families and the demographic that you have in your program. Ask the parents about their profession or if they have any special talents. Keeping these things in mind is how you can get parents involved in the program. If they have time to volunteer, come to your classroom, share something about what they do, maybe you have a nurse in your program. Maybe she can come in and do a presentation about germs for the children. Maybe you have a dentist in your program and they can provide some dental screenings for you. Um, if you have a parent who plays an instrument, maybe they can come in and put on a music program for their classrooms. So, really connecting with your parents and figuring out what they're good at and whether they want to share those talents with the children. What is your best form of communication? So again, going back to that communication love language, how do you want to be communicated with? What is the best way for us to contact you during your busy day? And lastly, ask about household members. Who lives with that child? Who lives in your household? It's really important to know what that dynamic looks like, um, so you can really help and assist the best you can. What are the child's strengths? And do they have any concerns? Finding out what a family feels like is a child's strength is very important. This is how you start to build that connection with the child as well. Figuring out what you can add into your classroom that will make them excited. And also figuring out if the parents have any concerns about how their child is developing. They are their first teacher. Use them to your benefit. If they feel like they see things at home that they would like to be addressed, it's important to be on the same page about those things. What does your child enjoy? What do they like? What do they not like? And what do they fear? These questions are very helpful for the teacher in order to connect with the child, figure out what they like to do, and kind of figure out what their triggers might be in case we see any behaviors in the classroom. How would you like to be involved in the program? Asking parents, they are busy. It is hard for some parents to get off of work and come in early and volunteer and be a part of the classroom community in that way. So, asking them how would they like to be involved in the program? Maybe they want to volunteer. Maybe they want to sign up to be part of an activity and help you do setup and cleanup. Maybe they want to be even more involved and they want to be a board member. They want to help make changes and help you with policies. Maybe they don't have the time to really get away, but they'd love to donate materials to the classroom. Maybe they can collect recycling materials and donate it for an art project. So, trying to figure out the best way to get parents involved. How well does a child eat? Nutrition is a huge thing for parents. How does their child eat throughout the day? Are they a picky eater? Are they a great eater? As if you have a meal program, it's really important to know what their eating style is. And a space to add just any special additional notes that the parent might feel that they need to inform you of. Now, the family is enrolled and transitioning into the program beautifully. How do you continue to keep families engaged throughout the year? Providing them with daily check ins. This can be done through a digital app. This can be done through email, phone call, or even a face to face. Making sure that we're checking in with families, that they're happy with care is really important because it shows that their opinions matter and that they're happy. Again, a picture is worth a thousand words. Sending pictures of videos and messages of their children throughout the day puts no bigger smile on their face. In person drop off and pick up. Use these times to your benefit. Yes, we know these can be very stressful times of the day. They can be very busy times of the day. But if we can use these times to our benefit, it is immeasurable. Having that face to face connection with a parent, asking them, oh, how was your child's night? Did they sleep well? Did they eat breakfast this morning? Is there anything I should know about their day? Is so, so important. They can really give you some great help and backgrounds about what their child has already done for the day already. Did they not sleep well last night? That is very key and very important. So, having that connection with the parents during drop off and pickup time is important, but do make sure you have some kind of policy that you follow here to inform parents, this is a busy time. And if they do have bigger concerns to address, maybe setting up an individual conference would be best. Scheduling regular parent teacher conferences. This is very important in order to connect with parents about developmentally where children are. Um, Also, if parents have concerns, if you are seeing concerns, it's really important to have open communication and meeting regularly to discuss how their child is doing. Creating special events and activities to encourage participation is another great way to continue that engagement. Highlighting those family strengths. Again, going back to those parent questionnaires, family involvement. How can they be involved in this program? Maybe you have someone who is an arborist and they could come in for your tree study and talk about the trees and planting. However, your parents can connect and come into your program, try and really highlight those strengths. Highlight children's strengths. We do have a tendency to forget the good stuff And we do tend to bring up the tough stuff. So when children are having a hard time, those are the conversations that parents usually hear more. But it's really important to highlight children's strengths throughout the year as well. And some examples of doing that would be toodles. So a toodle is kind of like a shout out for kids. You can write it on a piece of paper and send it home. It's you catching those children doing something great throughout the day. Maybe they were being a good friend. Maybe they were helping you with class cleanup. Maybe they were helping you prepare materials for the day. Whatever it is that you see is a strength for a child, really highlighting that. And this doesn't have to be done every day for all 15 children. You know, making it a point to maybe put two children on your lesson plan for that day. I'm going to send home a toodle for these two children. I'm really going to pay attention to everything they're doing today and pick out those wonderful things that they are doing. Parents want to hear the good stuff. Highlighting a student of the week is always a wonderful way. Either making it in classroom or school wide, but highlighting a child and really sharing the things that make them special. Show and share, creating some experiences where children can bring things from home that they really enjoy or they love, and they could share it with their friends. Creating guidelines, of course. But yeah, this is important. They want to bring things from home, they want to share their home life with their school life. Theme days. Everybody loves a theme day. It just creates a sense of community and excitement. When a good pajama day, I'm there. Providing families with a family comment box. So this is another great strategy for continued engagement. You know, there are some parents that may not feel comfortable bringing concerns to you one on one. For whatever reason, they're busy, they can't get into the office. But having a family comment box, maybe at the front door when they first come in, um, and dropping in like a little comment card can be really, really helpful. Um, it's important to receive feedback. How are you doing? What things can we change? And what things are we doing well? But giving parents opportunities to share how things are going is important. And lastly, annual how are we doing surveys. So, really checking in with your families is important throughout the year, but especially to get feedback for you and your program. You know, they are the ones who are there and they're the ones who are living it. So, how are we doing? You know, how is the staff doing? Is there anything that we can do better? Is there anything we're doing really well that you would like to highlight? Is really important. Using those to really benefit your program. So, evidence has shown that families are more likely to disengage within the first 90 days of enrollment than any other time. To ensure that families are happy with the care they are receiving, it is important to check in, ask questions, and solicit feedback. So, for teachers, one strategy they can use is teacher meet and greet conferences. So these conferences are usually held within 4 to 6 weeks after enrollment. So either for a new child transitioning in, or they should be conducted for the entire classroom if it's a classroom full of new children. Um, Ideally, this conference is not to discuss your concerns, unless there are some big ones and some red flags. But ideally, this conference is really to get to know the family, put a face to the name, discuss their goals for their child. Why is their child in school? You know, what do they want them to get out of this program? Is really important to ask them, because then you're both on the same page in regards to what they're looking for. Um, you can ask the parents if they have any family concerns. Are there anything is there anything at home that they're struggling with that they can use some additional support? And then giving them the opportunity to ask questions about the classroom. How is this transition going for your child? Do they talk about school? Do you feel like they are saying positive things? Are they saying negative things? It's important to do a check in to really see how children are transitioning in and the families as well. And be sure to follow up. So have those conferences and make sure to follow up in some way. It can be by email, it can be in person, but just to follow up after, hey, it was so great meeting with you. Is there providing them with any resources if you mentioned sending them any is really important. Now, in regards to directors, there is you could do a check-in for them as well. So now what we call this is the 30, 60, 90-day rule. So what this looks like is that directors should check in with families at 30, 60, and 90-day anniversary dates. So again, going back to that statistic, um, new families are more likely to disenroll within the first 90 days. So, if a director is doing a 30, 60, 90-day check in, they can really try and fix any issues that that family is having. It's really important to get that feedback and figure out, what's working for them. And if something isn't working for them, how can we fix it together? It shows that you're receptive and you're open. And that's a great way to be. Again, this can also be done by email, phone, or in person. I would make sure at some point that one of these check ins are in person. If you can do it virtually or if you can do it in person, um, you, maybe the first 30 days, just do an email. But I would definitely check in maybe physically on the 60 or 90-day mark, just so they know you're there and you're easy to connect with. And again, add dates into your calendar so you remember to check in. So when a child physically enrolls in your program, make sure to go into your calendar and mark that 30, 60, 90-day mark. So oh, I need to check in with them today. Um, it'll become like second nature once you start doing it. Okay, now we are going to focus on how can you implement Grow New Jersey Kids standards positively, and how can they impact your family engagement practices? Did you know that children are more likely to thrive when their families have the support they need? By focusing on the five universal family strengths identified in the Strengthening Families Protective Factors framework, community leaders and service providers can better engage, support, and partner with parents in order to achieve the best outcomes for kids. The Strengthening Families framework is a research informed approach to increase family strengths, enhance child development, and reduce the likelihood of child abuse and neglect. One great thing about implementing strengthening families into your program, besides the endless support that you provide families, you can also earn up to 5 points in Grow New Jersey Kids standards if you are implementing the Strengthening Families program. Creating parent and family groups. What is a parent family group? So, forming parent groups is a great way for families to feel involved and part of a school community. The opportunity to allow parents and families to form relationships with others through formal or informal social networks that are supportive of education to enhance the social well-being and the community life of parents. These groups are specifically run by the families, and the meeting topics discussed would include activities that promote multicultural learning and providing input and advice on the program's policies, procedures, and practices. Giving families a voice and including them in decisions helps to create an environment that their opinions matter. Parent and family workshops. As experts in the early childhood fields, it is important to share. It is our job to share our knowledge with families on the child's development, best practices, and how to address challenging behaviors. Providing families with education workshops is beneficial to help them build resilience. The intent of this standard is to offer workshops to parents on topics that are really tailored to their particular needs. This provides the opportunity to increase their positive parenting skills to further support their child's educational success. Topics such as early literacy, positive parent child interactions, cultural awareness, developmental issues, and any other topics that address the parent's needs is really important here. And you can offer them throughout the year. These workshops can be hosted by center staff or or program can arrange for a trainer to come in and provide a workshop. So, who can host these workshops? The director can. So if you do a back to school night where you provide the parents with an overview of your handbook, your policies, your procedures, that is considered a workshop. You're sharing your knowledge, you're sharing their educational goals. Um, a curriculum coordinator. Some programs have a curricular coordinator on site and they can talk about the benefits of implementing a curriculum in the program and what this looks like. Teachers and staff can also put on a workshop. Lead trainers and family engagement specialists with your local CCR&R are a wonderful, wonderful asset. I would definitely reach out and connect with them to see what kinds of workshops and training can they offer your parents. And they do offer these free of charge. So you really should use them to your benefit. Family success centers. Every county has one. So really connecting and seeing what can they offer your families. Maybe they can host something virtually. If you want to host something on site, absolutely. But giving parents a virtual option might be really helpful as well. How many of you have heard parents say, "My child doesn't do that at home"? And we say, there is no way they don't do this at home. And in all honesty, it is possible. The setup of a classroom is a very different environment than that of a child's home. A classroom can be loud, filled with other children to interact with throughout the day, and the social demands of following directions and routines throughout the day are very different. Home visits can be a helpful strategy for getting a full picture of a child, their home life, and building a strong relationship with the families you serve. Have you ever heard a parent say, "I wish I could take you home with me"? Well, now they kind of can. Home visits are important in order to observe the children in a setting other than the classroom and for effectively developing a strong parent and teacher relationship. Home visitor trainings can be found on NJCCIS. And if you need any assistance finding these trainings, please contact your technical assistance specialist for assistance. Connecting parents and families to the community is important so they know who they can contact within and who they can contact in times of need and how they can make changes to their community and become active members of change. Parent participation in advisory councils is valuable for shaping programs so that they can meet the family's needs. It also encourages parents to strive for leadership opportunities in which they can be actively involved in organizing activities that improve their child's education and learning experiences. Parents sometimes don't realize what is out there for them and who they can connect with. And if they are struggling or having difficulty, where do they turn to? But we are their middleman. We can connect them to these resources that they could potentially need. A quote from Henry Ford: coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. There is no greater power than working together. If we are all on the same team, our children will thrive. I have created a Padlet of resources for you to enjoy. So please take a moment to either get your phone out and scan the QR code or click on the link below. The QR code, you can gain access to the Family Engagement Resource Palette. I will give you a few moments and then I can share the Padlet quickly with you. So I have provided you with some wonderful and helpful resources to help you with your family engagement. I have separated them into categories. So you'll find some resources here specifically for families who are transitioning in. I have also provided some sample policy templates and forms to get you started with creating policies for your handbook. Um, there's also a category specifically for directors with some helpful resources for business practices. There is a column here as well for family engagement and relationship building ideas and resources for your staff. And then also some resources that can help you get started if you are interested in implementing any of the Grow New Jersey Kids standards for category 3. So let's start off in the family resources for transitions. So in this column, you're going to find some really great resources to help families with that transition in. Um, there's an article here from healthychildren.org. How do you ease your child separation anxiety? Providing it provides you with strategies and supports, and some suggestions of how and what you can do. There's another great one here. So this is going to bring you to, if you click on here, this will bring you to the library catalog. And this has a wonderful list of books that can help a family who is transitioning in. You can purchase these for your classroom. I highly suggest too, encouraging families to purchase these kinds of books too. Even if you have a lending library where you can provide these with families before they transition in, that's a wonderful idea. Um, but you can see they have some really great titles, some that revolve specifically around separation anxiety, some that revolve around big feelings, and what that can look like. It's important to make sure that children always feel like they are seen and making sure they feel like they're not alone. And, connecting to a story is a wonderful way to make that connection for them that they are not alone and this happens. And, transition and change is hard for a lot of people. We also have a wonderful article here by Nisi. You'll see they have some great ideas and suggestions for first day jitters and strategies for creating that smooth transition from home to school. I also have a few infographics here in English and Spanish. So when parents do come and they ask you this question, how do I prepare my child for school? Well, this is a wonderful infographic you can provide them. It'll give them some strategies of things that they can do before they start, when they get ready in the morning. So some simple but easy suggestions, just to get them started. And again, this is in English and Spanish. And then there's also another resource here from the Backpack Connection series. If you are not familiar, I highly recommend you visit their website. They have tons and tons of resources like this, that cover a range of topics in regards to behavior management, biting, how to get a child to clean up. But this one specifically talks about routines and transitions, and there's a connection, that connection to home, and what the families can do at home to make this transition easier. And again, this resource is available in English and Spanish. The second column here has some sample policies and forms that you can think about adding into your handbook, that you can think about providing families with. Um, so we did talk a little bit about providing families with a getting to know you questionnaire. So if you click on here, you can kind of enter in. This is just a nice template form. Again, it comes with a little sample letter, and then some sample questions that you can ask families upon enrollment. Um, Keep in mind, this is editable. So if you see a question in here that you don't think really pertains, obviously you could take that out. But you can also add some of the questions that I discussed in the beginning of the presentation, and you can add some of those in here too. We also have a family handbook policy. This is a great resource, so you can kind of see what a communication policy could look like for your program as well. What does communication look like in your program? And is it being shared that way with your parents? I'm sure you do tons and tons of things throughout the day to talk to parents and communicate with them, and you don't even realize it. So simple, daily notes in the infant room to let parents know if they ate, if they slept, how often they were changed throughout the day. Um, a bulletin boards when the families first walk in the building. Do you have a bulletin board with flyers and community resources and the calendar for the month? Providing parents with even a newsletter. You can do this weekly, you can do it monthly, sharing any events or special announcements or things that are happening within the program. Emails, family visits, conferences, family nights, how are you communicating with your families? And put it in writing. There is another resource here for your family handbook acknowledgement form. Again, you are going to be creating those policies and procedures. Again, I highly stress speaking with your technical assistant specialist if you are unsure what policies should be in your handbook, what could be included. But this is a sample sign-off page that the parents have received and read the above policies, and you also would sign off on this. And also your staff should sign off on this. So if there are policies implemented in your program procedures that should be followed, staff should also be aware of what they are. Your staff are going to be the first one that some parents go to if they have a question. So making sure that your staff is well versed in your policies and procedures is very important. We also have a change to policy form. Again, it's editable, so you can go in and really make those changes to reflect your center. This form, again, is really important. It can help when you change a policy, if things have to be updated. Everything should be done in writing. And parents should sign off that they understand that the changes were made. A perfect example is during COVID. A lot of our health and safety procedures had to change. So making sure parents are informed, and again, making sure your staff is informed and they sign off as well. There is a sample family survey cover letter. So again, to get that feedback, how are we doing? There's a sample cover letter that you can send to parents. And then there's also a feedback survey that you can share with them. This is another great resource. Family involvement activities. What do those look like? So, how can you involve your families in your program? And even reaching out to parents and asking them, how do you want to be included? What are some activities you would like to see in the program? But these are some great suggestions of things that you can do to get parents involved. And then a new employee announcement letter. So COVID changed a lot of things. And one of those things, it has been a challenge to keep staff. Staffing retention has definitely been a high priority. It has been a challenge, and we know this. But it's really important to keep parents and families involved of changes that happen within the program. So if a staff member is leaving and a new staff member is joining, parents should be informed of those changes. I am a parent, and I know that if my child's teacher suddenly changed and I wasn't informed, I would be a little bit upset about that. So it's really important to be as transparent as possible. Things happen, but in order to work together and move forward, everyone should be informed of what this change could look like. In this next column, we have the resources just for directors. Obviously, staff can look through these as well. There's some wonderful ideas, but this is specific for directors. It's really the business aspect of it all. So, how can you improve client retention? There's another great article here about what attracts parents to your child care center. Um, 12 Ways to Build Trust in Moms. This article here is about creating a student ambassador program. So let's think about it. If you wanted to create a parent ambassador program within your program, what does that look like? Where do you start? Who are you supposed to put in charge of this program? So, you ideally would want to choose a person who understands your school's mission, and can speak well about the things that happen there, what goes on there, and obviously highlights the good things about your center. Can they talk about that? Can they share their experiences? Those are the people that you would want to be included in this kind of program, and even creating some kind of incentive program for them. Maybe we can take 10% off the tuition, or the last week is free of the summer. It's up to you, whatever your finances are, however you want this to happen, but it's a good idea and something that you can keep in mind. Here is another great resource. Here's a book through Amazon. It's Families and Educators Together, Building Great Relationships That Support Young Children. So this is a nice resource, and it gives you tons and tons of ideas for getting parents involved and engaged in programs. And this last resource here will connect you to how to involve the community within your program. You know, School, home, community, we're all connected. We're all trying to make good things happen for these children. So, how can we connect the community to our families? Our next column here is all resources pertaining to staff, specifically creating relationships with the children that you have coming into your program. How do you build relationships with them? How do you build your family engagement with them? So here are some wonderful resources through NCPMI. So this is a family engagement resource. So you can see it gives you steps and procedures how to use this resource. It connects you to how to share it with families. Um, so this is a wonderful resource here. There is an infographic about things that will help me stay calm. So again, providing supports for that child who is entering your program. Um, you know, I can only imagine what it's like in the mind of a child coming into a brand new place where they don't know anybody and their mommy and daddy has left them there. There are some children who would take that in stride and be like, see you later. Have a nice day. But then there are some where, they're going to have a tougher time. So how can we make this transition easier, more successful, Being consistent is very important. Creating visual supports, as we had mentioned earlier in the webinar, um, creating those visual supports for home and for school. If a child is having difficulty transition during the day, going from activity to activity, a first and then board is a great idea for them. Providing them with a visual prompt will really help to make those connections throughout their day. Again, some more helpful ideas about transitions. This is a great article here about routines and how to provide visual supports. Um, Again, visual supports are so important in early education. Children do not know how to read yet. Communication, language wise, can be difficult at times, but providing them with picture supports can be really, really helpful for even your younger children. I've had parents come to me and say, "Oh, my child, they don't sleep at night. I can't get them to go to bed." Providing this kind of strategy for a parent would be really helpful too. Having these picture cards here showing them the routine and what they follow and what that looks like. There's consistency in this, and children need consistency. Once they have routines in place, their comfort level will ease. They will feel more comfortable once they know what to expect and what's going to happen today. What does my day look like? And providing them with these visual prompts will definitely help you. Again, there's one more article here about positive relationships and how to create those in your classrooms. Our last column here will be Grow New Jersey Kids standards resources. So again, we talked about a few of those standards that connect in category 3 to family engagement and what this could look like and how you can earn some points towards your Grow New Jersey Kids rating. Um, so one of those standards were implementing strengthening families into your program. So here's a little infographic about the 5 protective factors. Um, the 5 protective factors are parent resilience, knowledge of parents and family, social connections, concrete support, and social and emotional competence of children. So, again, the whole protective factors framework focuses around these five protective factors. It's supposed to help to reduce the likelihood of child abuse and neglect. And ideally, you want to be providing your parents with tons of resources, connecting them to, organizations outside your program to really help build their resilience. Here's another great infographic. So this will really help connect you to the Strengthening Families Protective Factors and see which standards align um, that can earn you some points. Each of the standards are here with a little description of how and what you would need to do to meet each of these to earn points for your program. Again, you can earn up to 5 points if you implement Strengthening Families. There is another resource here, the next two. These are all about home visits and how you can help your program if you're interested in implementing them, what these look like, how to talk about tough conversations, how to even ask parents if they're interested in having home visits. This is a great infographic on asking parents, are home visits for you? And you know what? You're probably going to get some pushback on this, and there's going to be some staff who's not comfortable with doing home visits. Or you might get some families who do not want a home visit. They don't want anyone in their house. And you know what? That is okay. However, offering a home visit to your entire program, you might get a family who is very interested in having you come see their house, their home, how their child interacts with their siblings. We talked a little bit before about how that home life and school life are very, very different, and children act differently in different scenarios. So, really being able to see where a parent is coming from, I think, is very important and it's an invaluable tool. And then these last few resources here, this one here, it will connect you to some of the advisory boards that you have throughout the state of New Jersey. So if you're interested in connecting your parents to some community advisory councils that they can be a part of, there's a whole list of them here at this site. We also have a connection here. You can, if you're unsure of your child care resource and referral agency, um, you will find a complete list of them here by county. They are extremely helpful, and they also have a family engagement specialist and a lead trainer on staff, where they can put on family workshops. So reaching out to them to see what they can offer you would be really helpful. And then lastly, there is another little resource here about family success centers, what they are, where you can find them in New Jersey, and again, what kind of resources they can provide for you, including some workshops for families. Okay, well, that is the end of our resource Padlet. Okay, so that is our Padlet of resources that you will definitely be able to take along with you today. I hope everything that I presented today was helpful for you in getting your families back into programs. I know sometimes it's easier to leave them out. I know how busy it can get when they're in, but in the same token, the benefits of having them back in really outweigh. Um, so if you do have any other additional questions, please feel free to contact me. My email address is there below. Or you can contact your technical assistance specialist and they can assist you with any of the resources or any of the standards that you might want to implement into your program moving forward. But I hope you all have a wonderful day and thank you so much.